is John Ward, welcoming you to another presentation of Tennessee football on home video. The story you're about to see unfold is one of adventure and achievement. It's the story of teamwork, commitment, and the will to win.
Doesn't need a lot of... Oh! He took a weapon!
Welcome back to the Blue Chip Breakdown, Vols fans. I'm your host, Bull. Y'all already know this is my nephew, Bray. And P is running a little bit late. Sorry that we got a late start to this whole thing, but Kaysen's game, who is P's son, kind of went over, so a little bit late to the whole deal. But we are going to get this thing started up. I hope everybody has had a good morning. We got a big game today. I mean, that's just as simple as it gets. We've got a really, really big game today. And I think that we're going to have a little bit of success. Or, I mean, we should have a lot of success. What we're going to do, though, really quickly is we're going to get into the 12 o'clock games. We're going to talk about who we think is going to win these games and cover the spreads and all that good stuff. So, first game is starting at noon. It is Vanderbilt versus Georgia. The game is at Vandy. UGA is favored by 31.5 points. The over-under is 56. This is a pretty easy one. But, Bray, who you got?
I got Georgia, and I think they're going to cover the spread. I'm interested to see how they're going to be able to carry the momentum they got from last week. Hopefully, Bobo can call a good game like he did last week. Hopefully, Carson Beck can get it to his playmakers like we did last week. So, yeah.
All right, so do you pick Georgia to cover the spread? Yes. 31.5 points. Yes. Over, under. Are you taking over or are you taking under?
I'm taking over straight from Georgia.
All right, so, this is two back-to-back cupcake games for UGA. Vanderbilt doesn't really have a pulse. I don't think that they believe that they can beat Georgia. So I'm going to have to pick UGA to win this game, and I'm going to pick them. You know what? I'm not even going to pick them to cover that spread, though. I'm not going to pick them to cover that spread. Over-under is 56. I'm going to take the under. I'm going to go Georgia 35, Vanderbilt 7.
I'm going to go Georgia 63, Vanderbilt 0.
That sounds like craziness, sir.
All right, we're going to come back.
All right. So next game at 12 o'clock is Michigan versus Indiana. The game is at Michigan. Michigan's favored by 33.5 points. Over-under is 45.5. Bray, what you got?
I got Michigan, but I don't think they're going to cover the spread. Indiana, they played Ohio State tough at the first game of the season. I think it's going to be closer than the experts think. I think it's going to be a good game throughout the first half, maybe the first 3 quarters, and then Michigan kind of pulls away at the end. But, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm definitely taking Michigan in this game, too. I'm not going to pick Michigan to cover that spread. I think it's going to be a much closer game than that. Well, not much closer, but I think it's going to be closer than 33.5. Over-under. Let me see. What's my prediction going to be for this one? I'm going to go Michigan 35, Indiana 10. So I guess I'm going to have to take the over in this one.
I'm going to go Michigan 31, Indiana 14.
All right. And the next one is Purdue at home playing up against the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State is favored by 19.5 points. Over-under is 50. Bray, what you got in this game?
If you know historically, Ohio State has trouble going into Purdue and winning. So I'm going to take the upset here. I like Purdue coming out, upsetting Ohio State. Ohio State's second leading receiver, Mecca Ibuka, I think. Mm-hmm. He's out today. And their offense hasn't really been playing that good recently. They were just in the dogfight last week. I think Purdue comes in with nothing to lose. I think they come ready. I think they get the upset.
Yeah, well, you kind of stole my thunder there, Bray. So just for everybody watching right now, I want for y'all to know that today is my upset Saturday. I think that a lot of teams that are favored to win are going to lose today, and I'm picking Ohio State to be one of those teams. Obviously, well, not obviously because y'all don't know this, but we have a cousin that plays for Purdue, and he starts, so I'm definitely going to be rolling with them. The Buckeyes have not impressed me in any way, shape, form, or fashion. They found ways to win, but games have been too close against teams that they should be blowing out. Big Ten ball is boring. I mean, it's just offenses are lackadaisical, and defenses lack the speed and the length and everything else that we see in the Southeastern Conference, which I still believe is the best conference. I'm going to pick Purdue not only to cover but to win. Over under, I'm gonna go way under on this. I don't. How do you even pick 50 points for an over under in the Big Ten? I don't understand that, but I'm going to say it's going to be a really close one. I think Purdue 24, Ohio State 21.
Oh, yeah. I'll just say Purdue 24, Ohio State 20.
Very, very close. All right. So, with all of that being said, first off, man, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Let us know y'all's thoughts on our picks, and let us know how the games are going, because we can't watch it while we are streaming. But we're going to get into what y'all all came here to talk about, and that's the Tennessee versus Texas A&M matchup. Number one thing, obviously, with this being in Neyland, Tennessee coming off of a bye, Texas A&M coming off of a tough loss to Alabama. Jimbo Fisher, if you listen to any of his pressers, I mean, it sounds like he's a coach that is defending himself all the time. He's like, well, look at what Saban did here, and da-da-da-da. And, it was 4th and 1, but if it was 4th and interesting, we would have went for it. Sounds like a guy who is up against the ropes and knows that he's coaching for his job. So you have to look at all of the different factors. All those different outside factors always play a pivotal role in these games. As far as the X's and O's, okay, Texas A&M runs a 3-3-5, which means that they've only got 3 players on the line of scrimmage. They also have the best defense overall in the SEC. Rushing, their rushing defense is great. They are 2nd in sacks per game behind Tennessee. And with all that being said, I just feel like the way that Tennessee has ran the ball, being number 1 in rushing in the SEC, I think that we can continue on that trend. Now, a lot of people will say, who has Tennessee faced? Okay, that's a kind of a fair point. Texas A&M has been a lot more battle-tested, but in the one game that we lost, and in most of the season, outside of that South Carolina game, Tennessee did not have their heart and soul of that offense, especially on that line, and that's Cooper Mays. With him coming back, it's going to be such a critical deal for this Tennessee team, because Texas A&M playing that 3-3-5 means that they can be very multiple, and they are very multiple. They'll give you different looks. You have to be able to identify who's coming where, who's blocking who, where the pressure's coming from. And Cooper Mays is an ace at that. He's a wily veteran, and he's an absolute and total man. I mean, he's a guy that can go into any neighborhood across this country and probably across this entire globe, and he's going to be well respected because he's a man first. I believe that having him back is huge for this team. This is his 2nd game. He should be in shape coming off of a bye week, and I just believe fully that he will be able to tell the offensive line and everyone else what's going on in our scheme with that play. And that's going to help Joe Milton out a lot pre-snap. Pre-snap's going to be really big for this Tennessee team. And I think that we're going to be able to win. We're going to have a whole lot of creases with that 3-3-5. There's a whole lot of creases for us to be able to run. I think that we run well. I think the A&M is averaging, what is it? I think that they're averaging giving up like 88 yards a game, something like that. Number 1 in the SEC. That's a great number. They have not played up against a rushing attack like ours. We could talk about Jalen Wright, 7.1 yards per carry. We could talk about, Small. I think he's at 5.6 yards per carry. We could talk about Dylan Sampson, who I think needs to get a lot of burn in this game. We'll talk about that a little bit more once P gets here. He's at like 6.9 per carry. Our offense and our running game is set up to get downhill quickly, okay? We spread you out, not just with our wide receivers sideline to sideline, but even in the way that the offensive line lines up. We spread out that defense. In a 3-3-5, there's already gaps up against our offense, which Texas A&M has not seen an offense like ours this entire season. Those gaps will expand. We will be able to have success running that football today. I guarantee it. And once we do that, We know what's coming next. We've talked about this all week. We talked about it since last week. Texas A&M will do a lot of what they tried to do up against Alabama, which is stack that box, one-on-one coverage on the outside. They play a lot of, match man, match zone. Tennessee's offense is built to kill that because you have to figure out who's covering who on the fly. Josh Heupel is an ace. He is, in my mind, top 2 offensive minds in his entire country in college football. He will have a great game plan coming off of a bye week, and we'll have people wide open. Can Joe Milton hit them? Can they make those catches? If they can, I think that this team will be able to put up a lot of points. And, I feel like we can do well. Not going to go too far into it yet because we've got to wait. We've got to wait for P to get here, go through all the other 3:30 games, 7:30 games. We're going to do the Tennessee pick last, and we'll go a little bit further in depth as far as the pick goes. But flipping it over, did you want to say something there?
Yeah, I got nothing to say.
Flipping it over to the other side of the football. Tennessee on defense versus Texas A&M's offense. Max Johnson is a guy, I don't think that there's a big drop-off from their starter in this offense. Jimbo Fisher's offense, and him as a coach in general, very much of a, old school type of a guy. What they do is what they do. You're not going to see a whole lot of changes from week to week. That's just what they do. Their plays are what their plays are. Their situational stuff is what it is. Something that, if you haven't played college football or coached, then, this is something for y'all to understand is that coming into a week versus anybody that you're playing up against, everybody gets a big, thick pamphlet with what the other team does. You have percentages based off of the formations that they're in, based off of the down and distance. The plays that they go to, what they want to do, right? The schemes that they want to run. So coming off of a bye week, everybody's going to be so well versed in understanding down and distance, situational football, what to do, reading your keys. This is something that, we talked about in my previous video. Tennessee on defense, we have got to read our keys, okay? We've got to do that. And as long as we do that, Texas A&M is a team that will kind of like foreshadow and kind of give it away as to what they're doing if you can read those keys properly. And I know that this team will do it. Tim Banks is a really good he's a really good defensive coordinator. We've got a lot of good guys on defense. Not a whole lot scares me about what A&M does on offense. The only thing that does kind of give me a pause for some concern is them having their tight ends and running backs start off blocking and then going out for routes late.
Delays.
Right. So the only reason that scares me is because we've got a very young linebacking core, but they've been playing pretty much the entire season. So at this point, listening to them in post-game post-game and post-practice pressers, they seem very confident. They seem like they understand how to watch film. They understand, that this is not just about being a good athlete. It's about understanding what the other team is going to do and getting a beat on it. Speaking of getting a beat on it, I think that Texas A&M's offensive line is a little bit slow. Yeah, especially in pulling. They do a whole lot of pulling in their run game. We can beat them to the point, right? If we beat them to the point, and then they also do some like pulling and stuff in their pass protections, I think that we'll have a lot of success stopping their run game. Expect a lot of plays in their backfield. Expect sacks. I think that the over-under for sacks in this game, according to Vegas, was like 3.5 or 4, something like that. For Tennessee, I'm taking that over. I think that James Pierce is an absolute dog. And, whenever he's motivated, which is always, he's going to be a handful to deal with. But I see a lot more pressure in, plays for loss coming from the interior of our D-line because we are faster than them on the offensive line. I want to see Norman Lott starting, okay? Obviously, we got Bryson Eason, who's a beast. We all know about Big O. He's a big, fast twitch guy. And then, once we go to that Rabbits package, and we could put a guy like Tyler Barron on the inside, a guy like David Hobbs on the inside, really quick twitch guys. If we get Texas A&M in a 3rd and long situation, we're going to win. We're going to get home. I don't know if Tim Banks brings the blitzes today. If he does, that's what I would do, because Max Johnson,
he's not good under pressure.
He's not good under pressure. He's not going to be an accurate quarterback under pressure by any means.
If you sit back, though, he can't make the throws. If you sit back, so I feel like that's why they end up bringing more pressure, because you don't want him, just sit back, be comfortable in the pocket, and be able to deliver to his receivers.
Absolutely. So I think that's going to be the key to the game for us on defense, is getting pressure on the quarterback, stopping the run. You can say that every single week, but I feel like there's a bigger emphasis on that this week. We get pressure on Max Johnson. Even if somebody's wide open, he's not going to make an accurate pass. So feel very confident, feel very comfortable with the way that everything is lined up from that perspective for us on defense. I think that the defense holds them under 17 points. Biggest thing, though, I think, as far as looking at them scoring points, is going to be in special teams. They've got a lot of dynamic guys back there in all of the special teams. Yeah, I mean, those guys can take it to the house at any time. We've talked about this. I wouldn't even kick it to them. I wouldn't even take a risk on it, because our defense is going to have success. We're going to be very successful up against this Texas A&M team. What's going to happen on special teams? Special teams may be the kicker in this game. I think defense gets, maybe 2 turnovers. We can see some interceptions for sure.
I think one of the more interesting pieces of the game is going to be how Tennessee DBs are going to be able to guard, Evan Stewart, Nice Smith, when they do some pressure and they have to have that one-on-one coverage. But that's a big piece of the game. But like you said, Max Johnson's pretty inaccurate, so it might, not be as big of a thing to worry about. But I think that's definitely a key to the game, is how they're going to be able to guard, particularly Evan Stewart, because I think that's their leading receiver. Yeah. Might be their best receiver, in my opinion. So that's what I would have to say about that.
Absolutely. So we're going to get to some of these chats here. Let's see here. I see who all's in here. Mike Harmon's in here. Good morning to you, Mike Harmon. Appreciate you for tuning in. Austin Anderson says that he is on his way to the game now. Go Big Orange. Yes, sir. Hey, make sure to keep that stadium loud. Get it loud. Start it off loud and keep it loud. I think that Neyland's going to make a big impact on this team. We've seen them have a whole lot of pre-snap penalties. And, obviously, us as fans, we can affect a lot of things in this game if we can keep it loud, throw them off. One of the things, too, about Jimbo, obviously he's not necessarily calling plays right now, but he seems to overcomplicate a whole lot of stuff. So if we can just keep it loud, man, and have them kind of thrown off on different audibles and things like that, especially if Tim Banks is very versatile and multiple with, his different fronts and things like that. If he shows blitzes and all that, bring a lot of guys up to that line of scrimmage. Make Max Johnson and that offensive line for Texas A&M have to figure out where it's all coming from. Make them have to talk more than what they normally would. We'll have a whole lot of pre-snap penalties, and we can help out a lot. Let's see here. Mike Harmon says special teams need to be big today. Absolutely.
Special teams need to be special.
Absolutely, man. Listen, I think go ahead. Sorry about that. We got some people coming in that actually might be Pete. Okay, yeah. Might be Pete showing up. But yeah, man, special teams definitely has to be special. Let's try to keep the ball out of their playmakers' hands. As we've talked about before, though, if we do punt it to them, hey, that rugby style punt is excellent.
Yeah, he's really aggressive.
So it's excellent.
Different spins, different ways to catch the ball. Barber's on a couple of drops, and then you get the ball mostly opposing team's territory. Yeah, that's big for Tennessee.
Absolutely.
Change momentum in the game with turnovers.
Absolutely. So, and I was just going to say that they tend to fumble those balls. They are not very. They're really sloppy with those balls on special teams. So let's. If we're going to punt it to them, let our coverage get down there, and let's just hope for them to fumble it, and we can get a quick turnover, on our side of the field, and we can get a quick, easy score. Now let's see what else we got. Timmy G is in the house. He says, "What up, fellas? What's going on, Timmy G?" And Timmy G says the crowd will be hyped.
Gary gave Phil to make some noise.
Oh man, yeah.
I missed that.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me just try to run you through this, Bray. And anybody else who didn't hear the comments from Gary Danielson, he basically said that Neyland isn't any more special than any other SEC, stadium or home field.
I'll probably put the number 2 behind Sanford.
Oh, dude, stop it, please. Stop it, dude. So he said that it doesn't make a difference. He said that 20,000 does not make a difference. I disagree with that wholeheartedly. I think that, without a shadow of a doubt, what's that?
7-0, Vandy.
Hey, so big time update, and P is in the house.
What's going on, everybody?
P's in.
Am I in there?
Yeah, probably. Hold on. We got to switch to the other deals.
Vandy.
Sorry. Let's go, Vandy.
Yeah, so Vandy is up right now, 7-0 against Georgia.
BU, baby.
Wow. I mean, what does that tell you about Georgia? People wanted to crown them after that game last week. Kentucky's done too, but we're gonna get to that in just a second. Let me finish my thought on this. We were just talking about Gary Danielson and his comments. Listen, is there a difference between 20,000 people and 0 people? I would say so. Is there a difference between 80 and 100,000, which is the exact same thing? I would say that the same difference that there is from 0 to 20,000 would be the same difference in 80 to 100,000. Now, this is something that's kind of came up. The human ear can only hear to a certain decibel. I mean, but I don't think that the decibels that we're getting, because I think Tennessee was at what, like 125 or 127? 127 is our record. I think that you can go higher than that. For all Vol fans, period, if you're ever going to go to a game, we've got to chase those Chiefs. Their record is 147. So we've got to amp it up, okay? We've got to get it up higher than that. But we all know that Gary Danielson hates Tennessee. I mean, he's a guy that we absolutely – and let's talk about this. Eric Berry is getting honored today at the University of Tennessee. He's my maybe all-time favorite player, period. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's definitely my favorite of all. Absolutely love Eric Berry. I'm just going to tell a quick story here, kind of getting sidetracked, but I have to tell this. Well, it's not a real story, but I'll just say this. I started looking at, rivals and all that stuff with Eric Berry. So Eric Berry is a year older than me. And, at that time in my process, I kind of started to see, who are the best players in the entire country. And me playing cornerback, the number one cornerback in the class above me was Eric Berry. He's a guy who's from Georgia, just like us. And so, I kind of started to watch his film and stuff. And he didn't have a whole lot of plays on defense. It was mostly offense, playing quarterback, but you could just tell that he was just a really good athlete. And, started to kind of hear those rumors of him maybe picking Tennessee. And then, found out that, his dad went to Tennessee. And so, I started following him since then. Gets up to Tennessee, talk about a guy like Gary Danielson, right? Gets that start. Eric Berry gets to start up against Florida. And Gary Danielson is, of course, like he always does, he is hyping up all these Florida guys. He's a huge Florida guy. And he says, and that opens up the door for guys like Tebow. And then it's see ya, Eric Berry, pick.
First pick.
Yes, sir. Tebow's the only man who could stop it.
Yeah, Tebow's the only one that could stop it.
Tebow's the only man who could stop it.
He couldn't stop it.
Yeah, and I think that's where that Vols sign came from. I think that's where that started. Yeah. So we could go on and on and on. We can exchange stories about EB all day.
Yeah, EB's my guy, man. You talk about a guy that can play football.
Yeah.
So a quick story here. I can remember. I don't know what year it was. We were playing Georgia. I think it was in Athens. We ended up losing the game. I think it was like 26 to 14 or something. About 8 minutes left. It was me and my mom at home watching it, and I can just remember Sean Marino getting that top suit to the left.
Oh yeah, we gotta talk about that.
And Tebow, it's Tebow. Freaking EB comes downhill, lays him out, and I'm telling you, Sean Marino is super fortunate. There's no angle you can really see.
Oh,
but
man.
He was knocked out cold, guys.
Yeah.
He knocked him out cold, and Eric Berry gets up, just looks at him. Absolute dog. Comes down the hill, puts the crown of his helmet right through his chin. Absolute football player to the degree. And man, he's like you said, man, he's my favorite player of all time. I can remember being up there playing. Something you told me to do. Hey, when you're up there playing, hey, you're Eric Berry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I started thinking that, and that really helped elevate my game. So he's an absolute legend, man. Glad to see he's back on campus. His hair's getting long. I don't know if you saw pictures of him. His hair's down to his daggone back now. Like low back. Yeah, his hair's super long now.
Wow.
So yeah, man.
EB, hey, and obviously we're super happy for him. Beating this battle with cancer. He's just such a warrior, man, through and through. He's a great person. But back to that Noshawn hit. That's something I also want to talk about this, and y'all kind of chime in wherever y'all see fit. We're gonna get to some chats in just a second. But Noshawn was a guy. I mean, so everybody who watches this channel knows that we hate Georgia. I mean, this guy here is the only one who doesn't, but. He also grew up hating them, but we can't stand Georgia, and Noshawn is probably I would say I can't stand him more than any other Georgia running back because he would bounce up so quick and just be bouncing around and it just pisses you off. it just makes you sick. So we used to, and we still do to this day. Maybe y'all do too. You kind of like daydream and put yourself into the game and like what you would do if you was in the game. And I used to daydream about just cracking Noshawn all the time. And EB goes out there and does it just how you draw it up inside of your mind. And it's just, it's just so many things that he did. He's just, he is my all-time favorite Vol. And, him getting the honor, it couldn't happen to anybody better. Nobody should be able to wear that 1-4 in orange and white, period. I really like Christian Charles. I think he's a solid player, but nobody should be wearing that number. So hopefully they go ahead and do the right thing, and let's go ahead and say no more 1-4s after EB. Let me get to a couple chats here. Let's get caught up. Timmy G says it just moved. All right, so he says that the crowd will be hyped. Gary gave them fuel to make some noise, absolutely, and then. Timmy G also says Georgia has been a horrible first-half team so far. Yeah, they had. The only game that they played pretty good in the first half was last week up against Kentucky.
Yeah, Ball State. Now, did they play good against
Ball State?
31-0 at halftime.
Dude, come
on. I feel like they had a weak first quarter. I feel like they still start.
Yeah, listen, typical Georgia fan, he brings up Ball State.
I think they scored 31 points in the second quarter.
Yeah, that's nothing to even talk about. All right, so Mike Harmon says, protect Joe, play disciplined, gap defense, run to set up the downfield pass game. Absolutely, Mike. We're going to get more into the X's and O's of the game here in just a minute. Benjamin Gray Reynolds says, Milton is less than 30% passing beyond 9 yards. What's the issue and solution? So I think that with that there are a couple of things, but I'm just going to be real with you. I feel like a lot of that kind of falls on Joe. His pre-snap reads are not great, but, his wide receivers haven't always helped him out a ton. We can look at a guy like Dante Thornton, who we've expected a lot more from. He has to be more of a dog. You got to go out. You got to try to make catches. You got to fight for the football. 50-50 balls, you have to fight for him. Keaton, was Keaton out last week?
No, he played.
Okay. So I don't know why. I feel like Keaton has missed some time, but, he had some drops early on in the season. Guys have to catch passes. Whenever you're talking about over 20 yards, a lot of people are thinking that those are like over the top passes. Those can be over the middle passes. It can be a lot of different balls. And Joe, I think he's been okay with it. But go ahead. Maybe you can add.
He's been solid. I feel like he's honestly been pretty accurate. Like he hasn't had too many throws where I said that's a terrible throw. Before the game, he had a few. But honestly, I just think about Chaz Nimrod dropping a whole bunch of passes.
Yeah.
Dante Thornton dropped a couple of passes. I think for some reason receivers are dropping more passes. I think the tight ends had a couple of drops. Castles had a couple of drops. So that completion percentage, whatever it was, he said less than 30%. I think at least half of those incompletions have been drops. At least half of them. So it's on the receivers a lot too, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then too, man, I think that we haven't been targeting guys like Squirrel enough. I don't feel like we targeted Brew enough. That's one of the things, and I kind of want to get into this too. My only major concern in this game is really Milton. Can he step up and be a baller? Because this could turn into a situation where we're going to need him. That's something that he has to work on. That's the ceiling for this team. Everywhere else, if you look everywhere else, you feel pretty confident. I would say Milton and probably left guard. I would rather Ollie Lane come out there starting. I feel like he's been more consistent for us, and I trust him more. So, if Andre gets in there, I'm going to be a little bit more concerned. But I would just say that Milton and that left guard spot is the most concerning thing for me. And I'll actually add something in here that I just thought of, that I've seen on film is the pressure coming from the outside. Our tackles don't do a great job of picking up speed from the outside and guys who move well in space. So that's concerning. But, you would think that Joe should be able to step up into the pocket or make plays. So it's kind of like a full circle deal. I just feel like Joe just has to be more of a baller, period. That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah.
So let's move on to some more. Let's see. Mark Armour says, is that Georgia? Wait a second. Hold on. It says, is that Georgia just had a turnover? Okay, wow. So I don't know if that happened after that Vandy touchdown or what. But yeah, I mean, listen, everyone's been crowning Georgia. They're so ripe for the picking.
Yeah.
They're so ripe.
Heck, we've been talking about them all season, and we called the game, the UK game, the Kentucky game.
Yeah.
Before it happened, we said they're going to go out and blow them out.
Mhm.
People are going to start crowning them.
Yep.
But we knew Kentucky's style of play. Number one, Kentucky's not that good, and then their style of play feeds right into Georgia.
Yeah.
They're playing them at home. You do Georgia the favor, kind of hyping these guys up, so they were fully ready to play in this game. Yep. And then if you go back and watch that game, Kentucky missed several opportunities. I mean, the game should have been closer than it was, at least starting out. Kentucky missed opportunities their first couple of drives, and then they got behind the 8 ball. If they hit on some of those open passes, I mean, that game, they're putting up points and they're kind of trading blows with Georgia, and that's a whole different game. So, I mean, hey, Georgia, they are who we think they are.
Absolutely. And I mean, listen, dude, Kentucky is going to probably finish. Okay, so I'm going to go Vandy probably as last in the SEC, Florida number 2, Kentucky number 3. And I'm talking about on the bottom side, right? That's the order that it's going to end up in. Kentucky's done. Whenever you hear Mark Stoops coming out basically begging fans to, fans and everyone else, donors to pony up some more money so they can get better players. Well, what are the players thinking? Oh, well, coach, so but you don't think that we're good enough? That's pretty much what he says. Mm-hmm. So I think that they're about to, pack it in. I think that they've got Mizzou today. We're about to get to our picks here in just a minute, but I mean, Kentucky, that win, Georgia's win at home versus a terrible Kentucky team is not going to look good. People are trying to say that's a tough game for us. We're going to blow Kentucky out. Hate to look ahead, but I'm not even worried about them. So now let's see. David Collins says, what up, fellas? Go Big Orange. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, David Collins. And then David Collins also says, Vandy could have went up 10-0, and Georgia missed on a Georgia missed field goal. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but we're about to tune into those games. Where do you see Vandy missed a field goal at?
Yeah, you said Georgia missed.
And that game.
Yeah, he says on Georgia missed field goal. Yeah, he says on Georgia missed field goal. All right, so Richard Grindstaff says, greetings from Dallas, Texas. Gentlemen, go Vols. Yes, sir. Hey, so Richard, what's the temperature out there? Since you're close to the Aggies, what's the temperature, man? Let us know down in the chat because we would love to know. It sounds like to me that their fans are riled up to go ahead and get Jimbo up out of there. So, that can be but it does seem like their players are still motivated. But Jimbo's coaching for his job, and those other coaches on the coaching staff know that they're coaching for their jobs too. Mm-hmm. So expect a really good game plan from them. How much do the players buy into that is my question. I think that if Tennessee can get up early, we could see them completely and totally quit. Yeah. Now, Mike Harmon says, is Ethan Davis available today? I think that he is. I haven't heard much on that. I know that he had that ankle deal early on in the season, but he should be on the sidelines today, especially with the home game. I want to see more of him.
Yeah, me too.
I don't understand why we haven't seen more of him, especially with him pretty much being our only real tight end coming in, our only real veteran tight end on scholarship coming in next season. We've got to get Ethan Davis some game time experience. They've got to figure that out. Yeah. We've got to figure out how to substitute or something or get more players involved with this tempo offense. So that's an excellent question. Alan Bachelor says, hey, guys, enjoyed y'all on BVD's channel the other night. Go Big Damn Orange. Yeah, so we wasn't on BVD's channel the other night, but appreciate you tuning in. We have been on Sports Talk J. That was the most recent channel that we was on, and we've also been on with Boogie Bentley. But shout out to all three of those guys. We enjoy all their content. We watch content from anything Tennessee So yeah, I mean, those guys are really, really good. And let's see. Richard Grindstaff says 71. 71 and sunny. Okay, that sounds like perfect weather down here in Georgia. It's been raining for the past couple of days, and the sun just came out. So I feel like that's a really good omen for these Vols today. Do y'all want to go ahead and get into some picks?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, man. So we're going to get into some picks here.
Yeah, Colorado had a 29 to nothing. I mean, I turned the game off. And I saw the first two drives. I said, this game's over. And, man, I wake up this morning, see some things on Twitter, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
All right, so hold up.
Yeah.
13 for 170 touchdown. Played pretty, or 2 touchdowns. Played pretty good.
Hold on 1 second. Let me
Yeah.
get this thing.
Charleston looked good in coverage. I mean, I only saw the first few, but he didn't look good in coverage.
I mean, he probably is still fatigued.
Yeah, getting back in the swing of things.
Yeah, it's hard.
But yeah, that's an ugly way to lose.
All right, here we go. Hey, so I don't know if y'all was able to hear our picks earlier because it looks like my microphone was off. Sorry about that, but we're going to go ahead and just redo these picks really, really quickly. So first game is Vandy at UGA. It's at noon. And P, you wasn't here for this, but the over-under is 31.5. Oh, I'm sorry. The spread is Georgia by 31.5, and the over-under is 56. P, who you got real quick?
Well, heck, the game's already started. I'm going Vandy all day long.
All right, Bray, who you got? Georgia. I'm going to pick Georgia, and I'm not picking Georgia to cover. In the over-under, I'm going to pick the over on that. Go ahead, Casey.
Yeah, I mean, Vandy sucks, so yeah, Georgia's going to win.
All right, so you're picking Georgia. All right, so let's move on to the next one. All right, so the next new game is Michigan versus Indiana. The game is at Michigan. It's at noon. Michigan is favored by 33.5 points. The over-under is 45.5. P, who you got?
I got Michigan, but I like Indiana to cover. And I like I guess I like the under on that one.
All right.
I like Michigan. I think Indiana's going to cover, like the under, like that too.
Okay.
Well, Michigan.
All right, so I'm going to pick Michigan in this too, not picking them to cover. As we said, and again, y'all may not have heard it, but Big Ten ball is low-scoring ball. It's boring ball. I don't think that they will I don't think that they'll go over 45.5 points. I've got Michigan winning this game kind of close. You know, I think this comes down to a barn burner. I got Michigan winning this game by 10 points. I'm going to go 27-10 Michigan. All right, so next one is Purdue at Ohio State. Ohio State is favored by 19.5 points at Purdue, noon Eastern time. Over-under is 50 points. P, who you got?
I think Purdue keeps it interesting early, but I got Ohio State winning this one. I like them to cover, actually. Let's see, the over-under, 50 points. I think I like the under on this one. I'm thinking somewhere around, 40, probably 35-10 type game.
Okay.
No, I think Purdue's going to play good, but no, I think Ohio State is going to win.
Okay. Brett?
I like Purdue upset.
Purdue, yeah. So I'm also picking Purdue, and this is my upset Saturday, so I'm going to be picking a lot of the unders on a lot of the teams that are not favored to win. I am picking Purdue to win this game at home, and I'm going to pick the under. My final score prediction is going to be 24-21. All right, so next one is Florida State versus Syracuse. The game is at noon Eastern. The game is at Florida State, and they are favored by 17.5 points. Over-under is 56. P, who you got?
I'm going to take the upset here. I'm going to go Syracuse. I think they come out here and get it done. They're known for getting about one big upset per season.
Yeah.
I think this is the one they get. I don't know what the score's going to be, but I like Syracuse in this one.
Well, I think Florida State's going to win, and I think it's probably going to be 31-20. And,
I got Florida State like 56-14. I think it's going to be a blowout.
Okay, so I'm going to pick Syracuse to win this game, and I'm definitely going to I'm going to take the under on this. I'm going to say that this game is going to be 27-24 in favor of Syracuse at Florida State. All right, so now the next one, we've got Bama versus Arkansas. This is an SEC game. The game is at Alabama, and Bama is favored by 20 points. Over under is 46.5. P, who you got?
I got Bama in this one, but I like Arkansas to cover. I think it's going to be a closer game than people expect. I think Arkansas, they've lost 4 games in a row, but, I think they're going to come out here and fight hard and keep that game close.
All right.
Yeah, I think Bama's going to win. No, I think it's going to be a good game, but I think Bama's going to win for sure.
Okay.
I like Arkansas to upset here.
Okay, so I'm gonna definitely pick Bama. This is one of the only games that I'm not picking as an upset. I know that. Well, you know what? It could be though because Bama might be looking ahead to Tennessee. I know that's going to be a big matchup for them, but I'm still just going to pick Bama. I mean, the game is in Tuscaloosa. I'm going to pick Bama to cover as well, and over under. I'm going to go with the under on this as well because Bama's offense is really not that dynamic. I don't see them putting up a ton of points, even though Arkansas's defense isn't great. Arkansas's offense isn't great either, so I'm going to take the under. All right, so now we're getting into the 3:30 games, okay? And we've got Washington versus Oregon. This is a really big matchup right here. At 3:30 at Washington. Washington is favored at home by 3 points, and the over/under is 66. They don't play defense out in the Pac-12. Yeah. P, who you got?
This is going to be a good matchup here. It's tough. I haven't seen any Washington, honestly. Seen a little bit of Oregon. I know Washington has a good quarterback and Michael Penix Jr. And Oregon's probably got the best defense in the pack. Man, it's a tough call. I think Oregon does lose a game this season. I think it might be this one. I'll pick Washington to win. I think it's gonna be. I'm gonna bet the over on this one. I think it'll be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really watched Washington play. The only time I saw Oregon play was whenever they played against Colorado. I think Oregon might win, but I think Washington has a chance.
Okay, so you're gonna be on the fence. Go ahead, Brett.
I got Washington. Michael Penix Jr., Rome, and it's at Washington too. I think it's going to play impact. I think it's going to be loud in there. I like Washington like 45 to like 38. Yeah. High scoring game. I think Michael Penix Jr. submits his Heisman case today.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to pick Oregon. So I've only seen Washington play in a brief spurt. I think they was going for 2 or something. It looks like they've got a good offense just from those couple of plays that I saw. But I think the Oregon's defense is better. Whoever plays the best defense wins this game. Again, Pac-12, they don't play defense out there. So I'm going to choose. I'm going to pick Oregon. I'm going to pick Oregon to win this game in a close one. I think that they win by 3. I'm going to go 45 to 42. Oregon. All right, so next one. We've got USC Junior, South Carolina versus Florida. The game is in South Carolina at 3:30, and USC Junior is favored by 2 points. The over/under is 52.5 points. Who y'all got in this one?
Man, this is a tough call here. I think both teams definitely need to win. I think Napier needs it probably a little more. It is in South Carolina, but you know what? I'm gonna do the same I did last week and go against my better judgment. I'm gonna pick Florida to pull this one out. Let's call it, 28 to 21, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, USC Junior, I don't know how we lost them, but I think South Carolina's gonna win it. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Really 2 bad teams, but I guess I got Florida. I got Florida squeaking it out.
Oh man, y'all crazy. So look, I got USC Junior not only winning this game, but blowing Florida out. The spread is only at 2 points favoring South Carolina. I think South Carolina wins this game by 17 points. Florida is a terrible team. Again, I have them picked to finish last in the SEC East. I've got South Carolina winning this game 35 to 10.
Wow.
35 to 10.
Wow.
Yes, sir. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one. Now we've got Louisville versus Pitt. At 6:30, Louisville is favored by 7.5 points. The over-under is 43.5. Louisville's looked good so far this season. Who y'all got?
I haven't seen any of Pitt this season. Saw a little bit of Louisville last week when they beat Notre Dame, or whatever week that was. I like Louisville. I think they got a solid defense, solid offense. Like I said, I haven't seen any of Pitt. I do think Louisville loses a game, but probably not today. So I'm gonna go Louisville on this one. I like them to cover too.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't saw Pitt play either. So yeah, I think Louisville's gonna win too. And I just kind of saw a little bit, and like the last time I saw, they were playing pretty good, and yeah.
Yeah, I got Louisville to cover here. I think they're riding high. I think they're going to keep the train going. They're going to keep their confidence up, and I think 35-14 Louisville.
All right, so I'm picking another upset. I think that this is a game that Louisville comes in and stumbles. I think that Pitt wins. So obviously they're going to cover. As far as the over/under, I don't know. I don't know how good Pitt's offense is. I think that this would have to be a lower scoring game for Pitt to win. So I'm just going to say we're going to go 21-17 in favor of Pitt. All right, so next one. This is another big SEC game at 7 p.m. in Baton Rouge, LSU versus Auburn. LSU is favored by 11 points and the over/under is 61. Who y'all got?
And Death Valley at night, we know it's a tough place to play.
Yep.
Auburn can't pass the ball. They can run the ball all day long, but they can't pass it. LSU doesn't have a great defense, but Jaden Daniels is playing like the best quarterback in the country right now, besides Caleb Williams. So I gotta go LSU here, and I like them to cover. I think they'll outscore Auburn, and Auburn will be forced to pass, won't be able to catch up.
Okay.
Yeah, just like you said, Auburn can't pass, but they can run it, and it's the exact opposite with LSU. Like LSU can pass it, they cannot run it, and I think LSU is probably gonna have it because they got a good QB and they got great receivers. So yeah.
Yep. I like Auburn to upset here. I think they go into LSU. I think LSU is very shaky. Their defense is not as good. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Auburn's running game, and I think Auburn's defense is going to be able to get key stops when they need it. So I like Auburn.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to pick Auburn as well to upset LSU today. Even though, dang it, it is a night game in LSU, but I don't think that night games in LSU is going to be the same under Brian Kelly. I just don't like that, man. In general, I'm going to go ahead and pick Auburn to win this game again in another lower scoring game. I'm going to say 24-20. All right, now we got Notre Dame versus USC at 7:30. The game is at Notre Dame. USC is favored by 3 points. Over/under is 60.
Man, I like Notre Dame in this one. I think USC's offense or defense is garbage. So you expect USC to kind of contain that offense a little bit. I think I like Notre Dame, but I like the under in this one.
I'm going for the upset. I think Notre Dame's going to win. So, USC's offense is bad. Defense is bad. So, I think Notre Dame's going to have it.
Yeah, USC is hard to bet against Caleb Williams for me. I like USC in this one.
Yeah, I'm going to pick another upset right here. USC doesn't play defense, and I think that that's going to be to their detriment today. I'm picking Notre Dame. In this one right here, I'm going to go 31-25 in favor of Notre Dame. All right, so now we got another one at 7:30. We've got North Carolina versus the U, Miami. And North Carolina is favored by 3.5 points. Over/under is 57.5. Who y'all got?
It's a big time matchup. Obviously, Miami coming off the terrible loss last week to Tech. I think North Carolina's still undefeated, but I think Miami bounces back. I think they're a better team than people give them credit for. I like Miami to win this one. I think that I'm gonna bet the over on this one as well.
These are both two good teams, but I think North Carolina's gonna have it. Probably 45 to 31. No, actually 45 to 41.
I like Miami bouncing back this week. Like P said, I think Miami's a really good team. They just had a bad loss this week. Last week I got Miami.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with the U right here. I think that the U is the best team in the ACC, even though they had that terrible mishap at the end of the game last week, and really they played bad the entire game. But if you look at their stats, if you look at the way that they play, they are a really good football team. And I'm going to tell you something. They've got a safety, number 20.
James Williams.
James Williams. That dude is a stud. I hope that the Falcons can pick him up. I'm going to pick the U to win this game and win it pretty big. I'm going to go 31-14 in favor of the U. All right, now we've got Kentucky versus Mizzou. The game is at Kentucky at Kroger Field. So it's always gloomy there. I don't think that they've seen a sunny day there in the history of Kentucky football. And Kentucky's favored by 2.5 points. Over/under is 51.5. Who y'all got?
I like Mizzou in this one. I think we saw how bad Kentucky's pass defense is last week against Georgia. They let Carson Beck light him up for almost 400 yards. I like whoever Missouri's quarterback, I can't think of his name, but I expect him to light him up. I like Mizzou to put up about 40 points in this one. We'll call it about 35 to 20, 21, Mizzou.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Kentucky always plays so scared all the time. Like, they feel like those scary cats. And they play like scared of my team. And, like, so, like, I think Mizzou's going to have this one.
Yep, I like Missouri in this game. I think Luther Burden goes for over 250 receiving yards. I like Mizzou.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going to Mizzou all the way. That 2.5 points is crazy. I mean, wow, bro. People really believe in Kentucky. Kentucky's a terrible ball club. Like I said, I feel like they have given up on their team. I'm going to pick Mizzou to roll. I picked them to win by 25 points today. I'm going to go Mizzou 35, Kentucky 10. All right, now we've got an 8 p.m. game, Oregon State versus UCLA. UCLA coming off of a big win. Oregon State is favored by 3.5 points, and the over-under is 54. Who y'all got?
Don't know much about either team. I know UCLA's got Chip Kelly, probably going to be decent on offense, and Oregon State typically plays the best defense in the pack, probably. This game's at Oregon State. I'm going to go Oregon State. DJ Uiagalelei does his thing, and I'm going to bet the under on this one. We'll call it 25 to 21.
Yeah, I mean, I just watched Oregon State play a little bit, but, you know, UCLA had never watched them. But I think Oregon's probably going to win, probably like 35 to 31.
Nice.
Yep. I got Oregon State. UCLA has a freshman quarterback, Dante Moore. I think this is his first really true road test. I like Oregon State to come in, play good defense. DJ to lead his team to the win. I got Oregon State.
Yeah, so again, I'm going to pick another upset here. I'm going to go with UCLA. I really like that Chip Kelly offense. Don't know how well it doesn't usually work too well out in the Pac-12 for some reason. I think that they had maybe like a couple of seasons. It was a good spurt there at Oregon, but also because Chip Kelly coached up against Oregon State, which is a rival, I think that he knows them pretty intimately. And sometimes little things like that can feed into the way that the game is played, even if he's at a different school. So I'm going to pick UCLA to win this game. Don't know a score off the top of my head, but I'm just going to go 42 to 35 in favor of UCLA. All right, so now we've got another 8 p.m. game. We've got Duke, who's favored by 3 points at home, versus NC State. The over-under is 45 points. Who y'all got?
I got Duke in this one. They've been playing good ball this year. That new coach haven't lost a game by more than like 7 points since he's been there past 2 seasons. I like Duke to win. I like them to cover. Let's call this one 31 to 20, Duke.
Yeah, I think Duke could have it too. NC State, their offense is not really good, and so is their defense. So, yeah, I think Duke's going to have it all though.
I like NC State in this one. I don't know if y'all know this, but I don't think Duke's quarterback's supposed to play in this game. I think that's a big blow. Yeah. I have NC State winning.
Yeah, so, just knowing that Duke's quarterback is out, I think that I may lean a little bit more towards NC State, but I think I'm still going to pick Duke here, and I'm going to pick the under on this. I've been picking the under a lot. You know what? Actually, I'm going to go ahead and pick the over on this, and I think that NC State covers on this spread. I think that it's -3 though. That's a tough number. That's a really tough number. Yeah. So if it's 3 points, do they cover?
No, it's like push.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to pick the push in this game. I've got Duke winning this game by 3 points. I'm going to go 24 to 21. All right. Now for the matchup that we've all been waiting for, the big one at 3:30 in Neyland. Vols favored by 3 at home. Over under is 55.5 points. Who y'all got? Tennessee Vols versus Texas A&M Aggies.
This is obviously the game of the day for me. 2 teams. You talk about A&M having a great defensive line. I think number 1 pass rush or run stopping defense in the country. Mm-hmm. Tennessee is up there in the top 10 in rush offense. So we like to run the ball. So that's going to be the matchup of the day. But I think Tennessee in Neyland, Josh Heupel coming off a bye. The guys are going to be open. You watch A&M. Well, you've noticed. Well, go back and watch Miami game. Something I noticed in that game, Miami did for, I think, drive 2 and drive 3, they went tempo. And let me tell you, A&M was not lined up. They're over here pointing to guys, hey, where you at? They're moving the ball down the field. I think the tempo gets to A&M. I think the Vols are going to have success offensively, hitting guys down the field. I like Tennessee to win this one and cover. I got the Vols 41-20 in this one.
Yeah, I don't got to really talk too much about this game. I mean, that Tennessee's going to win. You know, it's going to be rocking all day long. So, yeah, Neil's going to be all over the place. It's going to be wild. Yeah, I mean, it's going to mess Texas A&M up. So, and, like, the reason why it's not going to mess Tennessee up because Tennessee's used to it. So, especially at night games, they're lucky that they're not playing at night.
That's right.
They're right there.
Yep, it's at Neyland. Like everyone's saying, it's a good chess match with the Tennessee's rush offense versus Texas A&M rush defense. No, it's all the reason in the world to pick Tennessee. Give me Texas A&M an upset here. I like Texas A&M to come into Neyland, shock the Vols, and bounce back from that game last week.
Yeah, I mean, y'all already know what I'm doing here. I'm definitely picking my Vols to come out here and win and dominate like we talked about earlier today. I think that Tennessee has a lot of success in the run game today. We're going to put the entire country on notice because that 3-3-5, it's tough to stop really good running teams, and Tennessee is a very good running team. I think that Joe Milton gets it together on offense. I think we have a couple of guys step up today. Looking for Keaton and Squirrel White to be some of our go-to guys. Who's going to step up out of Chaz Nimrod and Caleb Webb? We'll see, but both of those guys are going to have to do something. Tight ends are going to be a big factor in this game as well. Josh Heupel is just a beast coming out of bye week, and it seemed like he felt really good in all of his pressers. I mean, they were saying that he was hands-on backwards Heupel for the last one. So that tells you a whole lot about his confidence and, what they see watching film. Defense, I believe that we get a lot of pressure on this Max Johnson kid. I think that he throws the ball to us. And I think that we have a whole lot of turnovers. Young linebackers and young secondary step up this week. The Nico Slaughter's supposed to be back. We'll see. That's going to be big. Texas A&M likes to go 5 wide. I think that, obviously we're going to have to go dime some. I just feel like this game plays into Tennessee's hands a little bit too well. Can we protect Joe Milton, or can he kind of escape with his legs? I think that's going to be very important today. The team that rushed for the most yards up against Texas A&M was Auburn. They do a whole lot of read option stuff. They weren't really necessarily successful because of that, because Texas A&M knew when they were handing it off. They were there to make those plays, but just that threat of the quarterback pulling it can make all the difference. I think the Tennessee rolls today, man. I think that in Knoxville, in Neyland, with the best fans in the entire world, Tennessee will absolutely roll. And, I win this game to 17. Go Big Orange. Anybody who's going to the game today, y'all be safe. Y'all take care of one another. Keep that stadium loud. Let's make sure that we cheer for all of our players, especially Haddon. I hope that he has a big day today. We're going to need him. And hope it goes. Yes, sir. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. We will be back post-game with the post-game show. With all that being said, man, thank y'all so much. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. See y'all out. Thanks. Peace. And that's how this is the do that thing.
Georgia scored 427.
Wow, man. Sucks. Great job, Case.
Come on, bro. You gonna let us hang it down here?